Yeah, but we need that set up for this one.
Don't crank it up. It's just lower.
Yeah, don't. See, they've got the. She's got the. So yeah, I'm gonna step over there. John, yeah. I mean, that's right. Yeah.
Just the closest just takes a minute. Slide 10.
Oh, really? Sure. All right, everyone, we're going to get started with the forum in about 2 minutes. If you want to grab your coffee and find your product.
You got it? Right now? Do you wanna, you know, we on this? Yes. Yeah, that mic stand is a bad mic. Or you can take the mic out. I've never thought of it.
All right, everyone, we're going to get started with the forum today. I'm Shannon Chang, the president of St. Mark's Square, and I'm very excited to have you all here today. As I mentioned during the service announcements, we've been doing a partnership with the racial equity team for the past several years. And for the different sort of commemoration and heritage months, we like to bring in speakers and educational activities about the different months. And so in November, we commemorate Indigenous Peoples Month. And so we have some speakers from the Presidio Trust community today who will be talking about the different activities that they do at the Presidio with the Native American groups and local associations. First, we're going to start off with our St. Mark's Square land acknowledgement, and Fiametta is going to read that for us today. And she wants you to know that she is my daughter, in case you did not know that.
St. Mark's Square is the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush peoples, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula and were the first to gather, love, grow, celebrate, cry, and sing in this place. We acknowledge and mourn the exploitation of the Ramaytush and the destruction of their ancestors' homeland and culture. We honor the Ramaytush for their enduring commitment to this land, Mother Earth, and to all of creation. We honor their ancestors and all other members of their communities. We value Indigenous wisdom and working toward the healing of creation. We strive to grow toward right relationships with the Indigenous people and the earth. With openness of heart and spirit, we hold ourselves accountable to respect and steward the land. Its grasses and trees and creatures great and small, let it be so.
Okay. I will let our speakers introduce themselves because they probably have the best bios about themselves, but we're really excited to have you here. And so we'll have time for Q&A afterwards as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, this is working. Hi, everyone. Good to see you this morning. As she said, we are here from the Presidio Trust. My name is Amy Deck, and I have been working in the Presidio for over 20 years, and I'm here with my colleague Aya, so I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. All right. My name is Tacdol, and I'm the Community Partnership Manager at the Presidio Trust. Amy and I are both part of the Community Partnerships team, really welcoming in communities that not have felt welcome or had access to national parks. We by no means are experts on the topic of Indigenous partnerships, but we have so much that we've learned along the way in community partnerships.
Thank you. So today we have just I think there's like 15 slides. We want to talk about where we work and the special place that the Presidio is. So I'll give a little bit of a background about the Presidio, and then we will I will take some time to talk about our Indigenous partnerships. We had a land acknowledgement, but I don't know, that was really impressive. So we'll figure out how to do that. And then I'm going to dive into art that we do in the park and partnerships with Indigenous folks and how we are able to incorporate that into the Presidio and really highlighting an example project at the Presidio. I can't figure out which way I should look. All right, so raise your hands. Has everyone been to the Presidio? So close here in San Francisco. Awesome. I'd love to see that. Great. So the Presidio is a part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. And the Golden Gate National Recreation Area, we affectionately call the GGNRA. And it was created in 1972, and it includes 16 different park sites. It extends all the way up to the north in Marin County, all the way to the south down to San Mateo County. So in addition to the Presidio, it includes, major international highlights like Alcatraz Island, as you can see. Am I blocking it? Okay. Alcatraz and also Muir Woods. So a lot of the loved spots throughout the San Francisco Bay Area are part of the GGNRA. The yellow square that you see there at the tip of the San Francisco Peninsula, as you all know because you've been there, is where the Presidio is located. It makes up about 5% of San Francisco, and it is just about 1,500 acres. So it's bordered on the north by the San Francisco Bay, the Pacific Ocean on the west side, and then the Richmond District to the south, and the Marina District to the west. Okay. So it is a really interesting place, as you all know. It's a former military base. The military left in the early 90s and turned it over to the National Park Service. The National Park Service was kind of like, wow, this is really different than any other national park we have, right? It really functions more like a small city, which means it's a very expensive park to maintain. We have over 800 buildings, half of which are historic, and we have all of our own very historic Army era infrastructure, right? So we have roads and water systems, and we have our own police department, our own fire department. So like I said, when it was turned over to the Park Service, it was going to be more expensive to maintain this 1,500 acre park than the top 3 national parks combined at the time. So it really had to be looked at in a different financial way. So the agency that I work for, the Presidio Trust, it was created to manage it in a slightly different way than other national parks. We have the same goals around natural resource protection and historic preservation, but we were given a different financial model in that we were given 15 years to become financially self-sufficient. So what that meant from the early 90s until 15 years later, every year we were given less and less taxpayer dollars. And it was a big test, right? Congress didn't know if this would work. No one, people, if you wanted to make some money, you would just sell off this really, really valuable real estate at the tip of the San Francisco Peninsula. But thankfully, our leaders at the time had the foresight to realize that we needed more national park space closer to urban areas. So they created our very unique agency. And we're really happy to say that it's been a wild success. We were able to become financially self-sufficient in 2013. And so we now do not receive any taxpayer dollars. So when you, it's a really big, wonderful story. So while we have been impacted by various executive orders, the current federal shutdown, which thankfully ended on Wednesday, which I'm sure you're all aware of, and we all have been impacted in different ways. But I and our 350 some odd colleagues, we were all still working. The Presidio was still open for business, at least the part that we manage, the interior. If you tried to go to the coastal areas, that is under National Park Service management. So that had to be closed. But thankfully we are all open now and working. So the Presidio also has, in this transformation into a park site, we have over 24 miles of trails. We have, of course, biking, hiking, scenic overlooks, we have picnic sites, the beaches, we have a golf course. So it really offers a lot for any type of recreational use. We also are home to over 24 businesses and about 3,000 residents. So a lot of people are working and living in the space and coming to visit it for recreational and evening purposes. So as I said, I work for the Presidio Trust and we manage the majority of the interior of the Presidio. We work in close partnership with the National Park Service. We are housed in the same building, so we work very, very seamlessly. And then we have a nonprofit partner, the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy, who do so much for the park. They're not just a fundraising organization, but they provide all sorts of things to keep it running. So we work very, very closely together. Now I'm going to turn it over to Aya to talk about Indigenous partnerships.
Thank you, Amy. So I will not read this land acknowledgement. We might read the whole land acknowledgement. I think that, it was about 3.5 years ago that our national parks, along with our partners, the National Park Service, the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy, created our own land acknowledgement because our history, although Amy talked a little bit about the military history, it is about colonization of the Spanish, the Mexican and Americans that came to the Presidio. And we wanted to at least have that land acknowledgement to acknowledge that history, that the people, the Yelamu people, actually faced a genocide in the Presidio, and that only a few Ramaytush families can survive. And so there was this question after creating this beautiful land acknowledgement: how do we go beyond land acknowledgement? Not just acknowledging this history, but what could we do today to support Native American leaders and community-based organizations as they are still here in San Francisco and the larger Bay Area and throughout California. And so I'm going to share a little bit about what we've done with Indigenous partnerships. And where we've started is really asking community members, how are the ways that our park can support you? And so I'm actually going to show a video, which was created by the American Indian Cultural District in partnership with the Presidio Trust. And I will share a little bit about what they had asked us initially.
Plants and animals and soil and wind and sky and clean air. Those are things that I think are essential to people. So to me, Park Service provides not just a fun service, but a vital, necessary service for people to reconnect to who they truly are. We're part of nature.
We're actually partnering with the Presidio Trust and the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy to bring the local American Indian community out to talk about land use and climate resilience. And today is an opportunity to really hear from the community and hear from the people who have this for generations in their blood, to be able to come out and really shape what the future of not just the Presidio, but the future of what San Francisco is going to look like.
Why is it important to be in open natural spaces? Basically, we are animals and we have animal needs. In order to be healthy, we have to have healthy resources.
When we have this opportunity that the Park Service has given us to partner, we embrace that, because for us, the land is still here, still needs to be taken care of, and it's important that we're here to do that work.
As a Native American, it is important to have access to open space. We cherish the open space. It's what the spirituality is based upon. It offers us a chance to be in the natural state and to heal from the things we're going through.
Access to open space in the city, it's one step to restorative practices and healing for not only me, but for community members to have ceremony and powwow.
what's especially exciting for me at this event here on the behalf of the American Indian Cultural District is we really are living and inhabiting and visiting all over this place that's called San Francisco, what our people call Yalama.
It feels really beautiful to see artwork from Native American artists, to see an acknowledgement from the Presidio Trust that we're on Native American land. I feel like we're here with the right people and the right partnerships to work with the local Native community, to work with tribes, and to work with local Native organizations to bring Native people out in a meaningful way to the Presidio.
So I'll share, and you may have heard this, is that as we asked Native American community members what they want in the park, they wanted access, and that the park could bring their communities together. It could be a place of health and healing, of ceremony. And what we learned also was that for a lot of these community groups, accessing the park was not easy. A lot of times, there's different fees that need to be paid. There's rules that they are not aware of. Getting through the special event permit, to get a special event permit could be a barrier. And so we work very closely with different organizations to host their gatherings. Some of them are, large public gatherings. Others are at Rob Hill, our campground site, and close off mostly just for community members. It could be, and I'll show some photos, it could be a different retreat that is happening in the Presidio that they want to have for their board members of their organization. It could be a community workshop. And so we do a number of different feedback. It could be a number of different things. Up here on the right is Greg Castro of the Association of Ramatisho.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. With this Association of Ramatisho, he just asked, there's a youth that wants to interview me. Can you host me at Rob Hill and Seminole County? So we try to make that access to land as easy as possible for our different community partners. A lot of the community has also said they've lost a lot of their cultural practices. So finding space to do a basket weaving workshop or to learn about elderberry and the many uses of elderberry. We host different workshops for their community members in the park. And so they're able to have their elders teach a little bit more to an intergenerational group of Native American youth. And so we are incredibly honored to have that opportunity. And so I'll share, I just talked about it, but one of the special events that we have is a big time at Rob Hill. And so a gathering of California Native American Indian tribes. They sleep or they camp in the Presidio for 3 or 4 nights. And then they have a bear ceremony, which is a coming of age ceremony for young men and young women at Rob Hill. What's really special about this gathering is actually that oftentimes the bear ceremony is only for young men, and this group has decided that it's going to be for young men and women. And we gift the plants that they use for their ceremony circle. We help them set up the sweat lodge and get approval through fire permits with our fire marshal, and we give them the space for free. And so we try to navigate any kind of barriers that they might have to be able to have this big event in the park. And then one of the events we've had for the last 3 years is the Intertribal Dance Gathering of Native American Health Center. And they really asked us to host a large public event. They wanted, the larger San Francisco community to know that Native people are still here in San Francisco. Oftentimes people think Native people are of the past. And so this is a large gathering that they have. It's dancing is our medicine, right? And so they have a lot of healing dances and the community is invited to participate in this. We also have this really beautiful video because I feel like I'm saying these words, but until you see what it looks like, I think you don't really get the gist of what it really is.
This event is our intertribal dance gathering. It's a way to highlight tribes in California and bring dances that bring us together, but also empower our community. So today what people will experience, they'll come in and they'll be able to feel the music, feel the dance, but also we have screen printing from one of our Smithsonian artists. It's free to the community. You also have a beading workshop by Kelly Roanhorse, Navajo. We also have the Cultural Conservancy here planting seeds on the spot.
We want to bring together this event to demonstrate how dance is such a crucial part of healing in our community. Dancing is our medicine. Indigenous people, Native peoples from the continent, from as long back as we can remember, integrated dance into their life. When you're dancing, it's really hard not to smile, and I think that's important for people's mental health. To have an event like this in a national park is fantastic. It's an honor to be able to be on the land of the Ohlone people.
To be in the Presidio in this specific location, I feel really free. You're in the city, but you don't really feel you're so much in the city when you're in the Presidio. Kind of like a little escape.
The land is such an important aspect of all humans, health and wellness, being drawn in by the ocean, the scenery, the nature.
I think the best thing is just gathering outside, being on the land, facing the ocean. All that in itself carries medicine. Doing this gathering here, you feel national parks is supporting our intertribal Native community.
Thank you. And this is my last slide before I hand it over to Amy, but what we've learned is that it's really important to foster access for community or Indigenous community-based organizations in the Presidio, but it's also important to uplift their leadership. And so we have a community expert program and a Presidio activator program. I won't go into details, but there are opportunities for these community leaders. It isn't just Indigenous communities. We've offered it to many different community groups to be in these programs that represent the communities that have not had access to national parks. And we were able to bring in Sharia Salsa, who was in the first video I showed, and she gave a lot of feedback about the art that we were interested in doing in the Presidio, which led to some amazing art projects and work with an Indigenous artist, a local Indigenous artist. And I'll have Amy share more about that.
I'll give just a little bit about background about art in parks. So these are some images from different art projects that have been throughout the GGNRA. So the program that we have is called Art in the Parks, and we really are using art to connect our visitors to creative experiences that are transformative, unexpected, and inspirational. These are, as I said, these are some examples throughout that whole wide 80,000 acres. You can see we've had exhibits on Alcatraz, one with Ai Weiwei. There was another one called Future IDs. We had a big blue whale made out of recycled materials that was on Chrissy Fields for a while. And then Homeland Security was an installation at the Presidio. So all of these art installations are temporary in the national parks. And, you know, art has, I mean, one of the earliest artists that we hear about gathering inspiration from national parks is John Muir, right? So it has been going on long before we developed programs around it. It just happened naturally due to the inspiration of being in nature. And specifically in the Presidio, we invite a wide range of different artists to bring their unique perspectives as a way to really foster, thank you, Peter, conversations about the place and encourage people to explore their national park and encourage people to come that may not have ever wanted to come to the national park. So we have 4 different Goldsworthy installations in the Presidio. And I have given countless tours over the years for people that have lived in San Francisco, have driven through the Presidio, maybe even were stationed there, cutting through, getting to the North Bay over the Golden Gate Bridge, and they've never gotten out of their cars. They just didn't feel comfortable, they didn't feel welcome, they didn't have a reason. And maybe art is one reason for people to take a deeper dive into this special space. So since 2008, we've had over a dozen temporary exhibitions in the Presidio, and so thousands of different visitors have been able to see the park through a different lens because of art. So this is a boring bureaucratic list from our art policy, but I think it's really important to highlight that we don't do art for the sake of doing art. We are a national park, so that means, we are not just an indoor museum, we are not an outdoor sculpture park. We select art that is really either relevant to the history of the Presidio or of San Francisco. We are site specific, so we want it to be about the place. We want people to take that deeper dive. So whether it's an artist that is selecting, different species that are native to the park, and they take a deep dive to learn more about that. Like for instance, this is a silver digger bee here. Or if it's Andy Goldsworthy, who finds inspiration from our historic forest and is using natural materials to build his ephemeral pieces. As I said, we wanted to enhance the visitor experience. And then we always have some sort of associated programming or supplemental information about each art installation. So that could be a simple thing like a sign, or it could be something like a guided art hike, but with the artist. People love to come for hikes and be guided and hear more about the information from the artist. Or simply like a coloring book or a pen or a sticker, so people can take a little bit of the art home with them. So an example project that we wanted to share today, if anyone has been to Presidio Tunnel Tops in the last 3 years, you've probably walked over a large round mural that looked like a big sticker on the ground that is different art. So that installation is called Ancestral Futurism, looking back to repair the future. And it was a public art pilot project that was an experimental program that was an initiative of that Presidio activators that I had just introduced. It featured these temporary art installations that really honored the diversity of and interconnectedness of all humans, flora, and fauna that lived in the Presidio throughout the centuries. It uplifted the stories, experiences, and images of the Bay Area communities with an emphasis on Ramaytush, the original stewards of the land. We learned from your daughter. So here are some images. If you didn't get out to see it, it was a 3-year project, and all phases of Ancestral Futurism were shaped in collaboration with the Presidio activator, Fabiana Rodriguez, who is based out of Oakland. So she is here in this first image. Her installation went in when Tunnel Tops opened just over 3 years ago in the summer of 2022. She went on to create this pilot program with us where she selected 2 artists who were emerging artists who she helped scale their art to be a large public piece in such a very visible, very visited location. So the second installation was by a Native American artist named Felicia Gabaldon. Her piece was called Iconic Visions. You can see her in the middle there with that beautiful quail. And then Super Blooms was the last installation that was installed in the summer of 2024 and was just removed this summer by Tasha Stimich, who is another interesting, beautiful artist who's based out of Oakland. So these installations have been so transformative. We hear all the time in our public feedback that color and art really makes people feel something different when they enter a space. And so that's what we have been able to do in transforming the experience of people being welcome to the City of Tunnel Tops. So now I'm going to show a short video so you can hear more from the artists about her installation, 2 of the artists.
Here at Presidio Tunnel Tops, we are working on the Ancestral Futurism Mentorship Project, which is in its 2nd iteration, and we are supporting a new artist, Felicia Gabaldon, to install her new mural. this particular piece that's themed Iconic Visions, my art is about nature and the elements that it can coexist with just human traffic and people. The mentorship project is really meant to bring in other artists from other backgrounds who may not have a relationship with the park to create artwork here and to bring their vision, to bring their stories, to also support them in that whole process. The mentorship was really interesting, getting the work out there to people, even on like this sort of larger scope.
Historically, BIPOC communities, accessibility communities, and low-income communities haven't had access or necessarily felt welcome in national parks. And so art in the park is part of many strategies that we implement to create that sense of welcome.
The goal is to have something that brightens and livens up the space so people feel invited. The way that it's assembled and put on the ground, the kids can play with it.
The art has really transformed the space, especially connecting to the stories of the flora and the fauna that is depicted in the art.
It's been really wonderful to learn alongside the staff who's been committed to this project and been driving it forward. And I'm really excited about how our collaboration is going to grow over the next few years.
Aya and I were giggling on it. We hadn't watched that for a while. We didn't realize how much we were featured in it. So, we are wrapping things up here. So, if you've been to the Presidio since this summer, we had a brand new project open up, which is called Outpost Meadow. And it is an extension of the Presidio Tunnel Tops that includes 4 acres of new picnic area next to the outpost, which is the 2-acre free nature play area. We're really excited about it. It's providing a lot of visitor amenities that we knew had been missing. It has a ton of more ADA parking, a lot more bike parking, water, trash, all of the kind of boring things, the things that you really need when you're visiting a park. And part of what we've always heard is that there's not enough shade. It's a challenging park manager debacle to find enough shade but not block the beautiful views. And so we tried to find that sweet spot by adding 9 umbrellas to picnic tables in this Outpost Meadow area. Another thing we hear all the time is, why did you take that art away? That was my favorite installation. That was my favorite artist. I love jumping from the bee to the flower. And they are all temporary art pieces in the national park. So we are always trying to be creative to how we can possibly reuse some of it. And as I said, you know, we have supplemental things that we give away. Some things we actually even sell in our visitor center. You can go get a piece of art there on a hat or a tote bag, etc. But I'm really excited that we are able to, each of the 3 artists was able to redesign their artwork to fit on the interior of these umbrellas at the new Outpost Meadow. So they are not out there yet. They should arrive in the next few weeks. But so when you visit the Outpost Meadow and you're able to picnic there, this is an example picture on the top of what it will look like, where there will be artwork on the interior of the umbrella. And there's 9 different designs that will be installed. So each of the artists get their artwork gets to live on a little bit longer and really, you know, make a continuous feel between this new site and the whole entire Presidio Tunnel Tops. And so these bottom images are from Tasha and Felicia. They aren't the final designs, but just to give you kind of a snapshot. And I just wanted to end with saying that, you know, we really hope to see you out in the Presidio. We're so happy to come here, but our team, our whole job is to welcome folks to the Presidio, especially if you haven't been there before. If you need information on how to get there, we have a free shuttle that we're happy to share information about. And we just hope that this is the beginning and that we can really continue to build this relationship and see you in the park. I want to thank Tom Reed for you basically cold called and found us. We were very resourceful. We're really happy to be here. And Peter, we rarely get IT help, so this has been very seamless. So yeah, I think just thank you for having us, and please stay in touch. We'd love to see you in the park. Thank you. Oh, one last thing.
I've got a bunch of Felicia's artwork to, for all of you to have. So you can take some home. Would one of you like to help distribute these? You can recruit, my son's here too, you can have. Awesome. Thank you so much. I think, just a little editorial comment from me, because, you know, we're parents in the city and we're like all in city people, take community everywhere. And we go at least weekly to Presidio. We've done field trips with the preschool to Andy Goldsworthy Woodline. We've done camping with the kindergarten in Rob Hill. It's a wonderful resource to have in the city. So it's just neat to learn more about it. Oh yeah, we were there on opening day when Fabiana did the butterfly migration week. And I actually didn't know that Tawny was organizing this, and when she said she did, I was like, oh my gosh, it's my favorite place. And so if any of you all from St. Mark's haven't been there, it's on the 43. It's very easy. There are also parking lots if you're a driver, which is fine. And so it's really, really great place to go. And I think this was also useful for us to think about as we think about St. Mark's Square, you know, just a much smaller scale, but, you know, we worked with Jonathan from the Association of Ramaytush on our land acknowledgement, and that was about a year-long process. And we also wanted, as you said, you know, to go beyond just the words and make it educational, make it something that it's a commitment that we live into. And so our artwork out there is from Inkwell. And I think most of you have seen the mural, but it's always worth another look. And it's a representation. They also with Jonathan on the art about, it's all different native species, some extinct and some still living in the city. So it sort of speaks to the past and present. And it's also temporary, which is something that we knew from the beginning, but it's sort of hard, that idea of art ephemeral, and it's here, but it's going to move on to something else. And how do we keep, you know, the memories of it? So it's just a lot of things to think about that I was just excited to learn about how you are approaching those things. So that was my editorial comments. Do we have any questions or comments from the audience?
Thank you. First of all, you have done a wonderful job. You and your associate committee have pulled something together that we all needed around here. A quick question: us religious types like to go on retreats occasionally to get away from the everyday world and isolate ourselves, and contemplate and pray and this sort of thing. Do you have facilities for that to put a comment in that regard?
So we have a specific, well, I guess you should contact us offline, because there are some facilities that are available, but we have a partnership criteria to figure out who is eligible. And so we may in fact be, there's also a number of paid facilities at the Presidio that we can also share too.
And I'm thinking about a church camping trip to Rob Hill at some point, so we might do that too.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of outdoor space, but the indoor space is harder because of what I was saying with our financial model, and most of it is leased. Yeah.
Other questions? Comments? I was going to ask where you get the hats with the embroidery, but you said the gift shop, the one at the
The visitor center, yes, right, by the transit center, we get the teal of that with the.
Yes, I love that.
Yes, yes.
I loved it.
Yes, so, well, it's funny, the backstory is we made those for opening day agents for staff, so we do kind of spy each other because it was a crazy day. And people were trying to buy them off us, and people loved them so much, so we were able to get them for sale.
Yeah, that's a good, and if you have guests in town and you want San Francisco gifts, that visitor center near the visitor shop and center near the transit center at Presidio is really a great spot for San Francisco themed gifts.
Thank you.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, we need to talk about, I want to hear about it.
Okay, question over here.
Are there any maps that kind of show all the different highlighted spots in Presidio, like some of the camping spots, visitor center, things like that, where people might easily know where to go. Yeah.
Yes, we love maps. I brought a handful that I can distribute today, and then the visitor center is the best place to kind of kick off your Presidio experience. If you're on the lower level of tunnel tops, you can also go into the field station, which is our indoor park curiosity lab that's right next to the nature play area called the Outpost. So they have tons of maps available too, and in 3 different languages usually. So we have them in Spanish, Chinese, and English. Yes, but I'll set some out for those that are interested as well.
All right, any other questions? Okay, I think, yeah, thank you all for coming. Thank you very much for responding to Tony's cold call and being here. I think it was really great. Next week, we're doing a forum about youth, children and youth ministry needs here at St. Mark's. Marissa will be leading it. So come back for that. And yeah, if you'd like a map or if you did not get a button, you can come up here. So thanks, everyone. I feel like oh yeah. Turns over later.